Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of KayFeine Conversation. Hey, Fee.
Good morning, Kay. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? How was your weekend? I know you had a busy weekend with the hubby.
Yeah, very busy weekend. We got a chance to see my niece. We went to San Antonio, and we got a chance to see my niece walk across, my great niece walk across the stage and get her diploma, high school diploma. So
Oh,
that
that's
was
awesome.
exciting. And so yeah, very good. Had a good weekend. How was your weekend?
My weekend was quiet. I don't know. I felt a little low. I
Hmm.
think our KFinators know that I haven't been working since before I went on vacation since Feb.
Hmm.
And I haven't been in the rush to find work because I'm enrolled in a postgraduate. I'm getting my doctorate in nursing education.
Hmm.
So, yes, I've been applying, but not with vigor and like following up. But this
Hmm.
weekend, I had like a come to Jesus moment and like, girl. But I was really trying to wait till I get through like my core classes, and I still have another 7 week. But I guess seeing that I'm coming to the end of this term and start the new term in a couple of weeks, I
Hmm.
figured now might be the time to like ramp it up. It's not like they're gonna call me and I'm gonna start work tomorrow. So if
Absolutely.
I can find something halfway through our next 7 weeks,
Hmm.
it'll be like chef's kiss. So I've really been putting some effort forward.
Yeah.
So again, it's not like I can't find work. We all know we're both nurses. I could be at a bedside tomorrow, but I'm trying to be intentional because whichever organization I get with next, I'd like it to be something that sees me off into retirement. You know,
Absolutely. So
that could
what
be
what
like
had you feeling low? Why were you feeling low?
I don't know. It just feel like I was going through the motion. Maybe it might be time. I do like to spend a lot of time by myself, as you know, but it may
Mhm.
be time to start seeing real people again, and
Yeah.
get like human
Yeah.
interaction. I just
Yeah.
don't want to be I just don't want to be overwhelmed by it because
Mhm.
as our listeners know, I for sure worked all the way through COVID and it was a lot. It was a lot as someone that was still at the bedside. I felt very overwhelmed with all that was coming at the energy, because
Yeah.
we are all energy taking up space in this world, and it was definitely a lot. You're getting energy from administration, from patients, just from world stressors. So I'm just trying to be more mindful of that. But I
Yeah.
definitely needed this time because I just feel so much better in my spirit,
Mhm.
so
And
um
you've been on your exercise journey. You're 25
I
pounds
have
down, so that's
been.
exciting. Yeah.
Because by the time I
That's
get
why I asked you what made you feel low, because you seem to be more energetic to me since you've been exercising.
really,
So I hate to hear that you was feeling low.
I was just feeling low. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't pinpoint it because I certainly talk to family and all that, but
Yeah.
and by the time I get back to the workforce, I definitely want to be down at least another 15, 20 pounds. I'm trying to get to 200. I give myself increments. So I have but when you get into that realm, when you get to 200, you have to recognize that you're not 200 because you may bounce back up and bounce down and back. But my eating and my exercise have now like they've connected again. It-
Aligned. Yeah.
yeah.
Because
So
we're very good at that. Either we're exercising and not eating right, or
right.
we're eating right and not exercising. Me and you both are guilty of that. And
Yeah,
of
and
course,
I
me
know
being
for
in San
me,
Antonio,
yeah.
I lost 5 pounds before I went to San Antonio because I know I've been exercising and on my health kick journey for the last 2 weeks. Lost 5 pounds. Got home this morning when we flew in. I instantly came home, pulled my clothes off. I didn't eat or drink anything this morning because I wanted to see how much I weighed when I got home, and of
Uh-uh.
course, I gained 4 pounds back.
Well, that all too could be from being, the atmospheric pressure and the traveling. So I don't
Girl,
think
I was eating.
that's
I can't even talk about no air pressure. I was eating
oh
and drinking
Lord.
like a crazy person. So yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Uh, welcome everyone. Welcome. We're just waiting for some of our listeners to come and join us. But of course, you can always find us on all of our platforms. We'll definitely post what we're going to discuss. And of course, it will be about Love, Marriage, in Huntsville, season 6, episode 9. And it was
Please
titled
like, subscribe,
Ready.
and share, please.
Yeah. And of
Tell
course, it
somebody
was
to tell
about
somebody, please.
ready to pop off. And don't, again, we're gonna always remind you all, don't forget to subscribe, share, and follow on all social media, Facebook, TikTok. Everyone knows I love TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Leave us a comment.
And
And
YouTube and
and you,
Apple Podcasts,
all of it. And what's the other one that we're on? We're also on, are we on?
Podbean.
And Wisdom. And welcome, join us. We want you all to leave us comments, and I did get a couple of comments that I'm going to read later, that some of our viewers left us.
Okay.
So again, Love, Marriage in Huntsville, episode 6, episode 9, season 6, ready to pop off.
Yeah.
What do you have to say? And we're going to try and keep this to a minimum. If there's anything you want us to talk about or hear our perspective, but I didn't want us to pull it out too much. That thing with Tisha and Marsau discussing what occurred with Tiffany, I think we discussed that last week. But what was your thoughts?
Well, we discussed Tiffany last week. I don't think we discussed Marceau and Tisha having a
No,
conversation.
that came
And
this
I
week.
actually just had this conversation, but we talked about Tiffany in the conversation that she had last week. But I wanted to talk about Kimmy and the conversation that she had with her friend. And the reason I want to talk about that, because that was the thing that resonated with me the most this week when I watched the show. And last season, Kimmy had got a bit messy to me, or was it season before last, right before she got the cancer, and she had started almost getting on my list. But my girl coming back around since the whole cancer thing, and I like that was the Kimmy that I fell in love with when Love, Marriage in Huntsville first started. She was always real. She was always raw. She was always honest and open and transparent. And that was the thing that I loved about her. And that resonated with me so much last night for her to talk about not only the last 2 seasons, talking about her cancer journey, but to put their sex life out there. That was real raw and open to me. And I know you want to talk about the conversation with her husband, but for me, her just having that conversation with her friend and talking about, hey, this is something nurses don't talk about. This is something that, I'm a nurse, I'm in the hospital, I don't hear them talk about, but this is what I'm experiencing with the cancer and the cancer treatment, the decreased libido. And to be so honest about that and say, hey, we were already having problems before my cancer because his sex drive is so high, and then now, and to have that raw conversation with her friend, I just love that, because again, that's something that we can take away. I'm sure there are people who are going through cancer treatments who's wondering, am I the only one experiencing this? So I just like her open and honesty. I like how she came out and talked about the sex life. Hey, I'm just not feeling it. And I'm honest enough to tell my husband, like, I'm doing it because I know where we were before the cancer, and this all for you, bro. That was just real and raw for me. I love that conversation.
I liked how she approached it with her husband.
Mm-hmm.
But it almost comes off as like being selfish, right? Here it is, someone is battling for their life. And your thoughts are, well, you still need to be serviced. Now, the thing is, which I'm shocked that well, yeah, because don't forget, she had that conversation with Maurice, and she was like, no, I'm not into it. I'm just doing it just because I know you have needs. And not to hear him say, well, baby, let's get you to a point where, you're better. And he's still wanting to jump in. I just thought that was such a moment where, and again, yes, was it raw and honest? Okay, sure. But for a moment where you could have showed some tenderness and some love and care, because the loving can't just be because I can jump between your legs. I'm sorry. The love and care that I know you love and care me is in those tender moments where you're saying, well, I know you're not into it. And and I also want people to understand and recognize, if someone is taking medication 9 times out of 10, that's probably going to be like the first thing to go. It's the same reason why most men do not like to take their blood pressure meds, right? Because it affects their
Yeah, we
libido.
talked about that last week.
you
Yeah.
know they'd rather have a stroke and not take their meds so they can have sex, which is insane to me. And this might be a little bit personal. It's like the last person that I was dating before Kevin. He would, he had blood pressure issues. I remember I was doing my checkoff or assessment for my NP at my nurse practitioner course, and he was my patient. So he came over while my instructor was on was on Zoom and watching me go through all the motions. So I took his blood pressure, and that darn thing registered triple over triple. I think his blood pressure was something like 210 over like 110. I just had to be like, okay, blood pressure fine. 128 over. And when we got off that call, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He doesn't want to take the blood pressure med. I'm like, but you could like have a stroke. And he's like, well, if I take that, then I don't feel like I can, my manhood is not getting up. I'm like, this is insane. So I think, like she said, a lot more conversations have to be had. I'm shocked that she didn't know that, but most medications, that's usually like the first thing. And besides, when you're ill, who's thinking about that? Honestly, you're just thinking and find for your life to feel better and do better. But that was kind of strange to me. I just wish in that moment Morris was just a little bit more tender. And I think, for a lot of women, we feel like we have to always like be on and up and can't really be authentically how we're feeling in that moment because we want to be desired. We want to know that our man wants to have sex with us and that he's not going outside the house, but I thought that was a missed opportunity to like to show more in a marriage. It's more than just sex,
And she was very authentic because she was having that conversation and said, "Hey, we're not going to sweep this
She
under the
was,
rug.
yes, for
We're going
sure.
to talk. We're going to talk about this." And I know the conversations we had before, and something else that she said to register with me. With the hair loss, for me, my hair made me feel sexy. So even just not feeling sexy anymore, which sort of puts me in the mood when I'm feeling sexy. So that's almost like a double whammy for her to even, talk about that. Again, her conversation last night was so real and raw, and I loved it. And even though Maurice probably didn't articulate himself well, I think he has been caring and compassionate toward his wife because in the conversation with her friend, because I was really into the conversation, she told her friend, it's not like he's pushing me into it. He actually told me, I'm just hearing whatever you're ready because I do understand that you're sick. And then when you're ready, you come to me. So, he don't pressure her. And I think that's, coming from that high sex drive and him not to put that pressure on her. I think that shows that he understands her illness and he's not pushing her. And he even told her, I'll just wait for you. And then if you want something, you just let me know. And she even said told her friend, it's not like he pressured me, but I do know my husband have needs. So, some mornings when I feel like it, I just say, hey, not that I'm into it, but this is for you. She said that's
Oh,
what I'm saying in my head, not that I'm telling him
hold
that.
on a second. We actually have a listener on Wisdom that wanted to jump in.
All right,
We
let's hear it.
have, who is it? Let's see. They're coming on now. We're just waiting for our guests. Oh, and it's Takia Williams. Hi, Takia. You're listening to KayFeine Conversation.
I can't hear her.
I say hello. I have seen that you followed me earlier, not too long ago, and so I followed back, and I just seen that your show was on, and I see the topic. But the thing is, I really don't watch a lot of TV when it comes to like reality TV shows anymore. I used to, but I just feel like when I start meeting a couple of married couples, and me being married myself, it was like, whoa, where you live. Like, say for instance, what state are you calling from?
Well, I'm in Texas, and my bestie here, she lives in Mississippi. But really, we talk about love, marriage, and Huntsville, but we do try to bring it back to real life experiences. That's the goal and the main point of our show, because we do understand that people are out here hurting and they want to have a real perspective on relationships and not just the polished version that people talk about. Because I've been married and divorced, and my bestie here, she's been married now for 20 plus years, but she was married previously and divorced, and we've all had relationships. And what we really wanted to get from our show is and to have a different perspective. Yes, we might follow the mess on the TV, but then how can we bring that back and have real conversations about relationships? Because currently I am embarking on a new relationship, and this is by far the most open I've been. and taking accountability. I think people miss that point too in relationships, is taking accountability for your part. And I think the thing that I have talked a lot about in this season is, even though you're in a relationship with someone else, the relationship isn't about the other person. It's about you, really. And people forget that they always want the other person to change and the other person to do things. But if that person change all these things, are you really in that person that you say that you love? And I'm wanting us to just start to have real honest conversations about that. And that, yes, relationships can be tough, but when you're in a relationship with someone that you're supposed to be in that relationship with, it's not hard. And they're making sure that you're both happy and that you're both living in the things and the joy to make you happy, that you want to be in a union with someone. So that's really it. What we talk about, it's not necessarily about reality TV per se. That's just our springboard into relationships.
No, you're fine. I just was reading like in your bio and
Yeah.
things like that, because I thought it was funny, because I used to tell my husband that I wanted to create a show called Real Housewives of the State.
Right.
So it's actually about women who have actually, like you said, experienced marriage, experienced divorce, being happy and all that. You know, just real women coming together like a group like this and just talk about real life experiences.
Yes.
You know, sometimes it's a lot more than what they really show on TV, because you know what's on TV is scripted. You know,
Yeah.
so when it comes to real life, you can easily say, you know what, it's really not like that on like how it is on TV. They doing that for the money, woo 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 woo. But when it comes to real life, you know, it deals with a lot of also compromising. I have been married myself before and divorced, and I am in my second marriage that actually lasts longer, way longer than my first marriage. I've been married for 11 years now, and with my husband for 17 years. So I mean, it's still a real life thing. But I was just letting you know I haven't seen Huntsville, so I wanted you to know that I didn't see the Huntsville show, like, you know, to really conversate. But I do appreciate, you know, you reaching out, following. I follow you back. And this is a good conversation, especially for a lot of different women that experience a lot of other things. Because I'm not gonna lie to y'all, if I could give you some reality, you know, from my ex-husband, you know, even as far as payback, girl, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, we appreciate you calling in,
So,
Takia, and continue listening to our show.
y'all have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye. Well, we appreciate that Takia called in.
Absolutely. We always appreciate our KayFeinators anytime they call in and anytime they show their support. But yeah, with Kimmy, I just love that, and I pray that everybody who watched it took something away from that. It's about having those honest conversations, and I'm glad to know that Maurice, you know, said that, hey, you know, whenever you're ready, you come to me, because I'm not going to put that pressure on him. So I don't think he was being selfish. I think he's been very mindful of what's going on, very caring, very compassionate toward his wife, very helpful. And just to even give her the option, hey, I'm not going to pressure you for sex, you come to me. So I don't think that's selfish. I think that's being very mindful of your wife's situation. But you know, as a wife, of course, we're going to think, well, hey, I know how it was before my cancer. So whenever I got a little bit of energy, I'm going to try to, you know, just like my husband looking out for me, I'm going to try to look out for him too. And that's what marriage is about. It's about compromise. You know, if somebody's sticking by you through thick and thin like that, and you got a little bit of energy to break them off a piece for a few minutes, then, you know, hey, let's make it do what it do for the few minutes.
Well, like she said too, and I can get that. She's like, she's never, like she said, she's never gonna be ready, you know. But I don't know. I just would have liked to have seen something a little bit different on his part. And again, she still had radiation to go through because she's finished with chemo and radiation. I mean, that just zaps all your energy. And I think even for her to even show up on camera and looking as gorgeous as she is, that
Oh
she
yeah, she's
deserves
been looking
all.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And the second thing that I wanted to discuss, and I guess because I've been in relationships where people just, throw their spouses under the bus. I've been one of those spouses who they just threw me under the bus. And even though to me, Big Lou, and that's the next thing I want to talk about, because like you said, we talked about Tiffany, her foolery, and how she put a spin on that. And I'm really glad that Martell and Marsau checked her, especially Marsau, and I'm so glad he did. But Big Lou, he heard what his wife said, and the issue that I had with that, first of all, I wanna go on the positive side before I go to the negative side. I like how he stood for his wife in public. When it came to the men, hey, I'm gonna hold my wife down. That's my wife, and I think that's what you should do. Because something I used to always tell my spouse, like, look, if I'm wrong, correct me behind closed doors, but out in public, we need to stand united as a united front. I don't care what's going on. And that was the thing that I like how Big Lou did. How he stood up to Marsau, he stood up to Martell, like, that's my wife, even though he knew she was dead wrong. But the part that I did not like about that is that you got to be able to check your mate behind closed doors and tell her that was inappropriate. That was an inappropriate conversation to have. All he was doing was listening, like, oh, you really said that? But he never
because he knows
said
his
what.
wife, that's why he said
Yeah,
that.
but he was like, did you really say that? But if you know your wife, why did you have to say, you really said that? But then that's when he should have, as a husband, said, babe, I know how you are. You need to start being mindful about the things that you say, because some of the things that you say is just inappropriate, and it's not the right thing to say to the first time you meet somebody. And I noticed everybody touched on it on the show this week, how inappropriate that was, and how she put the spin on it. And then when she see the guys out there arguing, I really have the feeling that she knew what they was arguing about, but now I play sick. How
No,
convenient. But
I don't
anyway,
think she was playing. I don't think that was playing. That was like a for real, for real. She wasn't
I
feeling
don't.
well. No,
Mm-mm.
you can't fake that. I'm
Yeah. Oh,
sorry.
yes, you can. Yes, Tiffany Whitlow can.
Mm-mm,
She the queen
mm-mm.
of fake. Yeah.
She wouldn't do that to her husband. She would not fake that she just didn't feel
She
good.
don't
You
care
could
nothing
see
about Big
you
Whitlow.
you you could see the panic on her face. And he was outside for the longest and she was trying to get comfortable and she couldn't.
Mm-mm.
And I well, that's
I
next
was
week's
buying it.
episode anyway. When he scooped up his boo, I'm like, I'm out of here. Leave y'all to have a good time. Him and his wife took off. So, but anyway, anything else?
Stormy was messy again. And I want to say to Carlos King one last time, even her sitting at the table like, oh, Mel, so you wasn't a fan. The messiness in Stormy, y'all are really making her look like an idiot. I mean, she's looking really bad on the show. So Carlos King, if you're listening to the show, this woman is running allegedly a multi-million
I
dollar
told
business.
you.
Allegedly a multi-million dollar business. If that's a case, you don't have to make her look that stupid. Talk about how you built this empire that you have built, this hair care line.
I've been
Man,
telling you that.
how we can benefit in a world where we're in an economic crisis and everybody needs to try to make their coins. How powerful would it be if this sister could get on and tell us how she um uh
Not
the
here,
word I'm
not
looking for,
there. What
created a
move?
business from the ground up. How powerful. All of the messiness is so unnecessary. There are bright, smart, intelligent people who will love to see better from this show, Carlos. And again, these are all people who are making bank
Have that
of
not what
real
I've been
estate,
saying
off of
all
hair
season?
products, off of makeup, off of all of these businesses, man, you can just spend it so much different. And so with Stormy, her messiness is not a good look. You really
And
can put
that's
her in the light of, hey, let me tell y'all how I did this, and walk the viewers through the steps of it. Or even talk about some of the things she's had to overcome in life. Because I've heard her say, because of her background, she has had to overcome the obstacles, trying to overcome and build that kind of business, and how she dealt with those different people trying to get her products. Man, those would be some powerful lessons. Come on, Carlos, you can do better than that with Stormy.
but I've
And
been
Stormy,
telling
get
you
yourself
that.
together.
I've been telling you that all season long. And and that's probably the reason why they just can't check, they're not checking for Melody, because even talking about her ex-husband. Why would that be something they think that she'd want to sit at a table and discuss or even hear? And as soon as it started, she exited. She took stage left and she got up and she left. And that's what she's supposed to do. When you've got things going on, you don't have time for that nonsense. And she's proved that Saturday that she don't have time for it. And she left them there in the gutter where they belong.
And I'm
You gotta
definitely
reach.
not in agreement with Mel, but this week I was in agreement with her. Yes, girl, exit stage right. I was with her this time because that was just inappropriate conversation. Who
It really
wants to
was.
sit up and talk about their husband? And the pain is so very fresh with her, and people can still see that she's still hurting. So is Martell. And for these to be your
I
so-called
don't even know
friends,
if
and to have this kind of conversation in your face, and whether you're in pain or not, you don't want to sit up and talk about your ex and his new boo. Who wants to have that conversation?
and,
Come
and
on,
then
y'all.
and then
Come on.
the angle that they were coming from is that she was jealous and a fan and stalking this woman. Now that's just a reach. I'm sorry, she was not.
Leave it to
She was
Stormy
getting
to
off.
reach. Leave it
It
to
was a
Stormy to
reach.
reach. That's what she do.
Anyway, well, we hope y'all enjoyed this episode of Love KayFeine Conversation. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and join us on our journey to building our station. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And join us again next week for another episode of KayFeine Conversation. I'm Kay.
See?
And have a great week. Bye-bye.